Tajik army's military invasion of the territory of Kyrgyzstan began at the end of April 2021 beside the water intake Головной, with the first shots fired. This facility is located on the Kyrgyz side in the village of Koktash, Batken region. At the attempts to illegally install CCTV cameras at the facility, the Tajik military sparked the gory event. This appears to be the reason, or perhaps just an excuse for them to trigger this all. The water intake building is located here. This site belongs to the Kyrgyz Republic, as well as the Red Book and the land passport. In fact, the border is on the other side of the canal. Can you see the road? The border goes 6-7 meters behind this road. Can you tell us about the time when the shots started? On April 28, Kyrgyz locals arrived to the border and asked to remove cameras installed by Tajik side. However, the residents failed to achieve their goal and left. The next day, April 29, at around 12:30, about 300 people arrived there. We decided to negotiate with them through explanations. However, the locals were resistant. They insisted on removing the Tajik cameras. At that time, on the Tajik side, the Tajiks were saying something through loudspeakers. People were gathering and looked like they were preparing for something. Some time later, the residents of the two countries started throwing rocks at each other, though the Tajiks were the first to use weapons and to begin firing at the Kyrgyz side. As a result, about 10 citizens were wounded. Our citizens were throwing rocks from this place, and Tajiks even approached this point. The Tajiks passed through the second bridge and, having violated the border, entered our side. As soon as Tajiks entered our side, they started firing from a machine gun. At that moment, being in position, our soldiers started firing into the sky as a warning. It was then that the Tajiks responded to our warning shots with all their weapons and started shooting in our direction. This water flows from this point to Batken. No water, no life here. We wanted to protect our water. This is why we went there. We thought that our disagreements with Tajik side would end with throwing rocks at the most. But it turns out that the Tajiks had been well prepared from the beginning. We went there at about 12 o'clock, and there had already been people prepared to attack. After half an hour, a crowd of Tajiks entered our territory, and in our turn, we went towards the bridge, throwing rocks at each other. However, 10 minutes after, the Tajik side fired the first shots, and I was the first one hit by a bullet. It hit here and tore my intestines. Now, after the surgery, I feel better. They have removed the wounded part of the stomach, stitching the rest of it. I still can't rise from my bed by myself, only with someone's help. 20 days before the incident, something suspicious was going on at the Tajik side. I have been based here since 2014. I know their routine and strengthened mode inside out. The thing is that, after the date when the Tajik President Rahmon visited Voruch, the soldiers' behavior noticeably changed. As soon as the shots began, our residents started hiding behind this wall. They laid here. At that moment, 2 large-caliber mortars were thrown here, and 4 of our citizens died on the spot. The poor thing, they fell down here. On this side, they were defending themselves. Another 82mm mortar hit here but never exploded. Another one lies covered on the ground there between the 2 trees. Another mortar hit the toilet, another one fell beside the door on the stairs. In short, the Tajiks were scattering mortars for 6 hours in a row. After this, they started shooting 120mm in the direction of the mountain. Then, one shell exploded and murdered 12 people who had been hiding here. Shells also hit that courtyard and killed an elderly Kyrgyz civilian. Until the end of shooting, we were in the trench providing medical assistance to our citizens who were shooting and were on the alert at the same time. We were ready to storm if we were given the order. We were ready to storm if we were giving the order. Our compatriots tragically died right here, hiding from the rain of the enemy's bullets. They died from the injuries caused by the shell fragments fired from the enemy's heavy artillery weapons. The village of Aksai, bordering the enclave village of Voruch, saw one Kyrgyz villager murdered and a soldier wounded. As a result of the attack of neighboring troops, 9 houses were set on fire. This is the КТРК village of the Aktatur rural district of the Batken region. There used to be 20 houses belonging to 17 families in the village, bordering the Republic of Tajikistan. Unfortunately, there are no survivors in the village, which is now under siege. All 20 houses in the village were looted and completely destroyed. This is your house, right? Yes, this is my house. I lived there with my wife. The house had 2 rooms. My parents lived in the second house. When was this house built? Recently, just about 2 years ago. How did this bloodshed come about? Where were you at that time? I was not in the village. I was in Osh when my relatives called me and said that the war had begun. And your parents and wife were in the village, right? Yes, they were at home. Look, it's still on fire. When did you return to the village from Osh? I arrived in the village the very next day. Is this your garden? No, it's neighbor's garden. And this also belongs to the neighbors. No, it's neighbor's garden, and this also belongs to the neighbor. What is the name of the neighbor? Sanatbek Ava. The militants were based at his house. He had 2 houses. He had just built that house over there. Soldiers were living in one of those. At the same time, the neighbor himself and his family were living at the other house. When the disagreements began, it turned out that he was there. Is this a chicken coop? No, it's a shed. He was hiding there for 7 hours. When did the shots start? When were the houses destroyed? So he left the house at night? Yes, at about 2 a.m. he came out. Nobody comes to the village now, right? No, there is no reason to come. All houses were burned down. Where are you staying overnight? We are living in the tents built for us. We sleep there. Are you going to move to another place? Change your place of residence? No, I don't even have such a thing in my mind. I will build a house and still continue to live here, hopefully with others' help. I would like to address to the people, please help the residents of the village of КТРК build their houses for us to live here. We will not give up our lands, even though we were offered to build houses in other places. Where? They would like to build 20 houses on the surface of Aktatur. And what is this place? The land in Aktatur is not as good as ours. There is rocky ground with no water. Yes, you have a good soil here. Yes, this place is great for farming. There are no stones in this soil. You can easily work with a hoe. Everything grows on this land. The mountain village of Dostuk is not the exception. On the same day, troops from a neighboring country launched an attack on the camp, using heavy artillery based at a military camp on the other side of the river. Thus, they opened fire from a helicopter, shooting at several houses. And as a result of mortar shelling, the Dostuk frontier post was set on fire. At the moment, we are at the Dostuk outpost located in the upper part of the Dostuk village. Now you see it burned. Captain Aidosov, head of the Dostuk outpost, will provide us more details. When did you receive the information about what was going on and how did you protect yourself? Around what time did it all start here? At about 2 p.m. that day, I received a message that the number of border guards on the Tajik side had increased. After that, we immediately made an urgent decision to increase the number of our border guards. After 10-15 minutes, they started shooting from the Tajik side at our border outposts. After 10-15 minutes, they started shooting from the Tajik side at our border outposts. Our outpost staff was ready for this kind of thing. We realized that our outpost could also be invaded. We led our troops out and managed to place them in the mountains. What weapon did they use during the invasion? The border posts were fired upon from various military equipment. One of the BNP bullets hit the barracks and put them on fire. We fired towards the Tajiks from our side to defend ourselves. However, the number of Tajiks were higher and they had more weapons. The shootings continued for exactly 1.5 hours. Then we received additional military force. We received 2 pieces of military equipment. We distributed between 2 places and helped our guys. What weapon did you attack with? After that, when the barracks at the frontier posts were burning, they got off the ground a military helicopter. We had to use the weapons against it too. At that moment, what was the state of the villagers? When the border guards told us, we contacted the head of the village and told to take people out of the village. The villagers managed to leave the village using the transport they had. The village got empty. There were no losses in the village or among civilians. There was only a slightly wounded soldier. At that moment, he is in good condition. What were the conditions in the burnt barracks? This outpost was built and commissioned in 2019. It had all adequate conditions for the soldiers to live. Break rooms, shower rooms, kitchen, all in a modern style. How many people could live there? 50 people. There were also appropriate conditions for family soldiers. As a result of the Tajik aggression, the houses of 129 residents of the Batken region were destroyed, with 11 houses destroyed in the Dostuk village of the Batken region bordering Tajikistan. Dostuk village belongs to Batken region. Previously, the coast of the water was called Karabakh. Due to the fact that our village is located on the border, it was called Dostuk, friendship. Did they call Dostuk so the friendship between the 2 countries would be strong? Yes, we wanted friendship. That's why we gave it this name. This Dostuk is frequently confused with the village of Dostuk, which is located in the Leylek region. It's a big street, isn't it? Yes, this is our central street. Previously, there was a link with Tajikistan across this road. They traveled back and forth across this road for different reasons. Then the borders were closed and they built a bridge and a road for themselves. We lived peacefully. I don't know what happened. For reasons unknown to me, there were disagreements. We still cannot believe that Tajiks have become our enemies. Who is the owner of this house? This house belongs to the head of this village, Burhan Abi. What is his last name? Japarov. This all began on April 29th. At lunchtime, we were in the village. After lunch, the shooting started. We didn't notice it at first. Then, they called us from the city of Batken and said that shooting has started in our village and that we needed to run away quickly. We didn't pay attention to the sounds of the shots. We thought it was military training on their territory. When Batken warned us, we immediately left the village. After we left, there were strong firearms and the outpost burned down. And when did you return back to the village? We arrived back yesterday. Was the village empty before? Yes, it was empty. The next day after the shooting, we went to the head of the region to get the permission to enter the village since our livestock, pets and our documents remained in the village. However, the governor did not allow us to. We were told that we would enter the village as soon as the military resolved this issue. Is there any furniture in the house? No, there is nothing left. Everything burned out. It became scary to live here. No one can guarantee that Tajiks will no longer do this. Nobody can tell. It became unsafe to live in this village. Have you just arrived in the village today? Yes, I have just arrived. Have you just seen your house? Yes, I have just seen it. Someone must be calling you, it's fine. Hello, I'm listening. We have not yet been given full permission to go here. It turns out that you cannot do anything with the houses. I don't know. They'll probably let us know. Now everything is as it is in a burned state, untouched. Okay, let's talk later. The journalists came to me to take an interview. Here, dear brother Adilet, I'll show you. Remember when you came here before, 2 years ago, I was hosting you in this very house. As you can see, everything burned out, even our dishes. Here, As you can see, everything burned out, even our dishes. Here we had more than 1 ton of apricot. They're no longer there. Many years of hard work is a waste. It turned into ash. You had just a large house here, right? Yes, we had a big house. Here in this room, we had household appliances, a refrigerator and other furniture. There is nothing left. As you can see, they're still burning. There were also apricots on the trestle bed. There were also things that belonged to Ayıl Okmetu. Street lights, everything burned out. We lived in this house. Here, my sewing machine is on fire. Only the hull remained. Record this. Look, show it, my brother. As you can see, we have lost everything. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms. Here are my kettles, pots, plates. This all burned out. I don't know what we will do now. I can't even think right now. We'll have to start all over again. I don't know how our life will be, especially now, at such a difficult time. Especially now, at such a difficult time. Everything is expensive, there is no work. We are in despair. In my opinion, it is necessary to expand the outposts, increase the number of soldiers, and raise the level of border protection. If everything remains as it is, it seems to me that no one will live here. Everyone will leave this place. On the opposite side, there is the military camp of the Tajik Republic. They watch every step we take. If they want, they can get us shot within an hour. It's hard to say, my brother. The state must resolve the security issue and restore our homes. The most important thing is our safety. That day we saw the helicopter flying above us. They said that the shell that hit our house was fired from his helicopter. The shell hit the roof of the room where Dad was sitting, but didn't explode. Yesterday, deminers came and pulled it out. Come on in, you can take a look from the inside of the house. That day we wanted to invite our fellow villagers to iftar. Here, the hell hit here. See? This is the house of the head of the village, and that neighboring one belongs to Abdushukur Narmatovs, right? Our ancestors lived here. They were all neighbors. Did a shell hit this house? We don't know which weapon was used, but they shot carefully, apparently. If you look closely, you can see their military camp from this place. You see, the camp is over there. They were shooting from there. Do you see their shells? These are not simple bullets. Is anyone home now? No, everyone left. Who lived here? My daughter-in-law and grandmother were here. Was Abdushukur's mother here? Yes, yes. Yes, yes. See how they shot. The refrigerator and the microwave were right here on it. The bullet tore through the side. Adilet, you know our village well. When you were here 2 years ago, you and I discussed a topic related to the border. We had good relations with Tajiks. We used Aksu water together, went to each other's weddings and other events. Now, all this has suddenly happened. Our children, old people and women will not be able to return home now. They have to live in houses of other people. You probably know how to live in other people's families. We go to other families. In the morning we arrive at the village, and in the evening we return. After blocking the Osh-Batken-Isfana road, Tajik's military aggression began from Tort Street and continued to the border villages of the Leylek region. There's 5 houses in the village of International, located on the Kyrgyz-Tajik border, were turned into an invaders' camp for 3 days, and 2 of them were completely burned down. There is a border with Tajikistan behind these 5 houses, and then our village begins. They attacked these 5 houses that you see now, looting and burning 2 of these houses. They were staying here for 3 days, behaving as if they were in their own territory. In my opinion, they were specially appointed militaries. In my opinion, they were specially appointed militants. Their actions were not the same as those of the soldiers. They made passages inside these 5 houses, dug trenches in particular spots. It was obvious that the group of people had been well trained. They say that 2 people died because of them. Can you show exactly where their point was? This crime was committed exactly here where we're now. From the beginning, the villagers of International have a WhatsApp group. When I was told that 2 houses were burning in the village, I immediately texted to the group warning everyone to be careful and not to come here, since the Tajik soldiers had settled at our houses. The villagers, in my opinion, did not believe it. Here we live with Uzbeks. We're all like a family. I had a friend. His name was Pakhlamon. He was my classmate. He came with 4 guys and wanted to put out the fire in the house. I told them not to enter the burning house. When I said that there were militants there, they probably didn't believe it. And when they came to the house, they were immediately murdered. We live here on the border. This green fence, which we see now, is the Tajik military unit. This side of the channel is the territory of Kyrgyzstan. But this concrete factory has been leased to Tajikistan for 49 years. I don't know who passed it on to them. Since then, this part belongs to Tajikistan. At the moment, Tajiks are using it. When there were controversial moments with Tajikistan before, my house was the position point of our soldiers. The Tajiks knew this. Therefore, when the disagreements began, in the first place they captured these 5 houses and used them as their positions. You can see everything from this place. Our military tower is also visible. From this place they destroyed our military unit. And, as you can see, there is nothing left of my house. Here my poor 2 dogs, and there are 3-4 chickens left. And I don't know where Tajiks took the cattle. They killed all and ate as much as they could, and the rest was taken away. You can't get your cattle back now, right? How will I get it back? How do I know who exactly took it? We cannot enter the territory of Tajikistan and look for it. Now I walk back and forth through the burnt house. God forbid, we will not move from this place anyway. We will live here until the end. If we move, if our children move, who will stay to defend our territory, our lands? It is difficult to find such a good lands, especially at this altitude. From that height you can see everything. Everything is at a glance. If the state asks me to give my lands for the construction of the military unit, I will give it for the safety of our people and for the sake of our lands. On the opposite side was an armored personnel carrier of Kyrgyzstan. So Tajiks opened a trench just here, and they robbed the houses, destroyed everything, broke everything and took everything to their villages. They took all my household appliances, and even our water heater was pulled out and taken away. And your cattle? There is one missing cow, while all the neighboring cows were taken. I wish this would stop and never happen again. They scared us, shooting at us over and over. We also learned how to shoot. If we, the people residing on the border, were just given weapons, and if they killed at least one Tajik, we would have sacrificed our lives without any doubt. Another thing I would like to say is that a massive illegal traffic passes through us, with 2 trucks passing every minute. It would be better if we could stop this. With 2 trucks passing every minute. It would be better if we could stop this. We give Tajiks gasoline, water, profit. In return, they shed our blood. In the villages of Arka 1 and Arka 2, located on the outskirts of Leylek district, the existing petrol stations and grocery stores were most affected. Petrol stations located on the right side of the highway were completely destroyed by large explosions. This part was full of soldiers that took lying position. I noticed them by their helmets. Their hats moved, and I looked carefully. It turns out that there were soldiers lying there. One white Sav was arriving and bringing 2 people each time. I was observing this all from here. It was around 5:30. When did everything start? At about 6 o'clock, everything had already begun. After half an hour. And did you run? The police came to us and told us to close everything and leave. We didn't have time to take anything with us. Where did you go? We went home. Most of the villagers escaped from the invaders to the neighboring village Margun. As a result of the Tajik military attack, over 40,000 people have been evacuated through the province in recent days. This shop was the main income source for my family. There are 11 people in my family. 3 of them are my children. The main source of income was our shop. Currently, there is nothing left here. That day, I was told that many davatchi would come. Therefore, I cooked a lot, almost 2 large cauldrons. Everything was ready when a stranger shouted to run and said that the Tajiks were coming. We ran out into the street and found that there were no cars. Usually there are a lot of cars here. The street was empty. Then her daughter hurriedly came from the kindergarten and said that there was an argument between Tajiks and Kyrgyz about the land. Then everyone left running through the village and seeing people hurrying towards the mountain. Some of them were going by car, while others were just running towards the mountains. How many years has your chaykhana been operating? Chaykhana is already 24 years old. At first, I named the tea house Jalalabad. Then, when my husband passed away, we named Kalibek Tea House. Now everything is in disrepair here. There was a gas cylinder here. I wish the Tajiks had died right here from that gas explosion. Do you have any other business besides the tea house? We only had this tea house. There was my daughter's shop next to the chaykhana. Recently, she bought goods for 300,000 soms to be sold in this shop. She was working in the shop and helped me with the tea house from time to time. As you can see, we have nothing left now. Thank God, at least we are all safe and sound. This big street that you see now is a transit zone. These shopping centers belong to Kyrgyz citizens. Everything is almost robbed and burned. Here, only one single pharmacy was not damaged. Let's go inside. My name is Dilbar Suyunova. I live in the Arka village. My pharmacy has been operating for almost 5 years. The upper part of the village is called the first Arka, and ours is called the second Arka. That day, the shooting began at about 6 o'clock in the first Arka, and we received a message saying that we had to quickly pick up the children and women and leave the village. When I heard about this, I took my purse and immediately ran out. Since then, we were hiding in the mountains for 4 days. Then our man came to the village, and having looked at everything, said that we can return to the village. Thus, when we arrived, we saw everything in this state. Everything is destroyed. It turns out that only your pharmacy was not robbed. Yes, they tried to open the door. Probably they wanted to rob it, but they couldn't open it. Besides, the part of the air conditioner located outside was torn out and taken away. Since today, people have been using medicines that were brought as humanitarian aid. Villagers come to me for missing medicines and ask me to open a pharmacy. I open the pharmacy, give the medicine, and close it immediately. As you can see, there is no one here. It is not safe to keep the pharmacy open all time. But when medications are urgently needed, I come quickly and give them to people. Kyrgyz convoys of trucks are passing from this street. In Tajikistan, they leave their containers and return to Kyrgyzstan. What are they carrying there? They mainly carry gasoline. Our ordinary Kyrgyz cars with Kyrgyz plates accompany them. They are said to belong to the rich. The civilians usually are not able to cross the border there. The main victims of this bloody incident are the residents of the village of Maksat. 80 families were left homeless in the village. A secondary school and a kindergarten were completely destroyed. We never asked anyone for help. As you can see, now we need help. We kept all our savings at home. There were around 500,000 soms earned in Russia, as well as our documents. We had been building this house for 7 years, and only this year we have finished it. We were going to have a wedding celebration. My husband had been working in Russia for 12 years, can you imagine? All our hard work turned out to be in vain. And we have ended up with nothing. As you can see, our children sleep on the street. One lady has brought us a mattress. Just take a look. There is nothing left of our house. They have been observing us from the drone. And we did not even know that they were watching us. If we knew, we would have taken the money and documents and left somewhere else. What can we do? This is the will of God. We will have to survive somehow. The most important thing is that our children are safe and sound. 15 days before the events in the village of Maksat, a third child was born in a young family. The yard was completely filled with cattle. They lived happily. Unfortunately, as you can see, things look sad now. It turns out that you have recently had a baby. Congratulations to the newborn. I wish you good health. Could you please tell us about what happened? We were at home. Nothing foreshadowed danger. The head of the village came and told us to leave the village as soon as possible. We didn't take anything with us. When we heard this, we ran away immediately, even forgetting about the documents. We had everything at home, even the dowry given to me by my mom. When did you get married? This year will be our 6th wedding anniversary. Our children's clothes, furniture, toys, everything burned out. God's will, what can we do? We delivered humanitarian aid to the regional center first. From there, we were sent to your village. Let's unload one car here. Later on, you can distribute among yourselves. These days, we are witnessing the unity of the Kyrgyz people. It is this feature that gives hope to those who have lost it these days. It is these actions that give them the courage and the strength to look directly into the future. Aid to the victims of Batken continues to come from all 7 regions and does not stop to these days. One of these arrived in the village of Maksat by car too. Where did you come from? We came from Ayılok Mutu, Kyrgyzstan, from Kadamjay. In the morning, we left at 10 a.m. and only arrived here in the evening. 28 humanitarian aid vehicles were brought from the Kadamjay region. Of these, 5 cars go to the village of Maksat. Is this all? All the humanitarian aid collected by the villagers? Yes, all that people have gathered. We brought it on behalf of the people. Thank God, it turns out that we are a friendly nation. We always support and help each other. A child is a child. At the moment when these tragic events occurred, the children did not suspect what was going on. Fears and anxiety are alien to them. They tend to switch their attention to games and everything that is caught by their gaze. However, the ruthless people who disturbed the peaceful sleep of these helpless children and made them run with tears in their eyes through the mountains completely destroyed their golden nests, and the kindergarten was razed to the ground. This secondary school was only built 6 years ago, with 208 students studying and 20 teachers working there. Unfortunately, because of the conflict, the school burned down completely. Besides, they say that the Tajiks robbed it, taking away the furniture and everything of value. They did this to us in holy time during the month of Ramadan. This is not the first time. It has been happening repeated many times. Our government would rather resolve the border issue and recently divide the territories. See how scared our children are. Most of us do not want to bring our children to the village. Children ask if everything has really burned out or not. We did not want to show and hurt children by showing all this. And our school burned down. I don't know what we are going to do. Thank God we have our Kyrgyz people. They help us as much as they can. Anyway, We're grateful to God that at least we ourselves and our children survived. Anyway, we're grateful to God that at least we ourselves and our children survived.